coming out of Night of Champions, while I can't say I was 100% encouraged, I was definitely optimistic. WWE made some really good decisions on Night of Champions as far as booking was concerned. They weren't swerves or anything. They were literally rooted in logic based on what was presented and what would make sense going into SummerSlam based on what storyline is working and what makes sense in that storyline. Honestly, ensuring that Jey Uso is not in a SummerSlam main event. Those things made a ton of sense. And coming out of Night of Champions, it truly felt like, okay, WWE may be on to something. At the end of my last episode I recorded, at the end of my Night of Champions recap, I said, I'm excited about SmackDown this week. Something I cannot say for many months, that I was really excited for an episode of SmackDown. Well, I was cautiously optimistic that the SmackDown with Cody Rhodes and Gunther with Sami Zayn as the referee, I was optimistic that that would be a decent episode, and it was. Outside of that, probably the past 6 to 8 months, I can't point to many SmackDowns that I was looking forward to. Now, I was very excited that SmackDown was going to 2 hours. In fact, as I was watching it, I almost forgot that it was only 2 hours because my mind is so conditioned that this is a 3 hour program that the rewiring just hasn't clicked. And so when I see Cody Rhodes coming out at 8:32, I forgot this is only a 2 hour show. So that was nice. But from a storyline and heading into SummerSlam perspective, WWE programming this week 100% took any encouragement and optimism that I had, because it showed me that no matter what moment they give you at the PLE, I don't know if it's to pacify or to say we did it, they are going to stick to the plan that they ultimately want, at the expense of any story that they are currently telling, are not going to deviate from their plan. Whatever their SummerSlam plan was going in is the SummerSlam plan that we're going to get coming out, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts and nothing in between to change it. They wanted to give us Seth and Roman, we're going to get Seth and Roman. They want to get to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, we're about to go to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. They wanted Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi, we're going to get Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi. Those are their three big matches that they told TKO they're going to get on ESPN for SummerSlam, and that's what they have to deliver, at the expense of good storytelling, at the expense of a monumental moment for Sami Zayn, at the expense of proving people like Vince Russo wrong about Sami Zayn. Because what I'm going to get into in this episode of Wrestling Brother Talks Smack is going to prove Vince Russo correct. Let's get into this week's episode. All right, welcome back to Wrestling Brother Talk Smack. I am your host, Jarvis Sam. If this is your first time joining, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you smash that notification bell so you can get updated each and every time I drop content on this channel. Catch me on my socials. That is Wrestling Brother on TikTok. I am Wrestling Brother on Instagram. And if you did not catch this on my actual YouTube, make sure you go follow Wrestling Brother on YouTube as well as Facebook. Yes, I launched a Facebook this week. So yes, Wrestling Brother now on Facebook. Go check it out. So before I even get into Smack, because this, Wrestling Brother Talk Smack was originally going to be a SmackDown recap highlight show. You can't do SmackDown highlight shows at this point because there are very little highlights from that show week to week. If we're honest, average episode of SmackDown, you're lucky to have 3 major highlights. And I use the term highlights very cautiously because it's more like 1 highlight and 2 other points that are worth talking about. And then it was 2.5 hours of commercials and everything else. This show is really about what happened in WWE for the week. So there's no need to worry about just what happened on SmackDown. We're going to get into what happened on SmackDown, the key talking points. But there's only one place to start, and that's Night of Champions, Monday Night Raw, and then SmackDown that immediately. Because WWE, the biggest thing is they really wasted the Night of Champions. Night of Champions almost lives in this, is gonna, when it's all said and done, Night of Champions is gonna exist in its own world because they're about to pivot so far beyond what Night of Champions was supposed to be. So quickly, going into Night of Champions, we fully expected that it could possibly be King Yeet because Brock Lesnar's probably gonna come out, make an interference, and cost Obafemi the crown. Whether it's by count out, whether it's whatever, maybe he comes in, F5's Jay Uso first, and then that gets Oba disqualified, and some chaos. We 100% expected something like that to happen. We got a very straightforward match between Jay Uso and Obafemi, and Obafemi got the decisive victory, and is now the king of the ring. That makes sense. This is what should happen. Okay, he's going to go to SummerSlam. He's going to choose Roman Reigns, and somehow Brock Lesnar is going to insert himself. Either he's going to cost him at the PLE, he's going to somehow incapacitate him, or maybe strip that King of the Ring distinction from Obafemi. No, don't scratch that, actually. Somehow Brock Lesnar was going to him in the long run, so that you can stretch this out, because I know WWE's thing right now is, what do you do with Obafemi in 1 year? He's beaten Brock Lesnar twice, and which he hasn't done yet, but that's gonna happen, and wins the world championship. What then do you do with Obafemi? Who can you throw at him that makes sense? Well, one, it depends on who you haven't beat. If you haven't beat Roman Reigns, it's you definitely booked yourself into a corner. And by booking yourself into this corner, I mean you've beaten Brock Lesnar, who did a very similar thing in 2002, where he came in, he took out Hogan, he took out Rock, he won King of the Ring, he beat The Rock at SummerSlam. It would literally be exact parallels. He would be beating what's equivalent to this generation's Rock. I'm not saying that Roman Reigns is as charismatic as The Rock. For all you people, he ain't The Rock. And no, I'm talking about that big star. He is knocking that big. So it would be the exact same. But guess what? They figured it out with Brock Lesnar. So why then can't you figure it out with Obafemi? Because you don't want to. It's because you're not as good at this as Vince McMahon was at one time. That's a fact. I will go on record and say 100%. I was all on board for getting Vince the hell out of WWE. This version of Triple H we got booking, and with the TKO overlords, it is hot garbage. I can't ignore the fact that very simple to do. And you cannot ignore, Obafemi needs to be booked strong. So what if he does all these things really quick? It is your job as a creative team to keep it going, to keep him strong. This roster is super talented. There's no reason you can't find viable opponents for Obafemi. You've got Jacob Fatu, which I think would be a very logical match at some point. You can bring a Drew McIntyre. That's a very logical opponent. There's still finished business between him and Cody Rhodes. Him and Cody Rhodes had a really good match at that Saturday night's main event, which was John Cena's final match. There is plenty you can do with Obafemi. On Monday Night Raw, Brock Lesnar comes out and interrupts Obafemi's promo. Oba came out and he was literally just talking about the reaction he got from the crowd, saying that was a befitting ovation for a ruler, but now he needs a ovation fit for a king. And it looked like he was about to tell us who he wants to face at SummerSlam. And Brock Lesnar comes out. And Brock Lesnar comes out with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, we have not seen in several weeks. Even though the Vision has had plenty of business to take care of, they could have used him when they were facing the Street Profits. Braun Breaker could have used him in that Hell in a Cell match, or cage match he had with Seth Rollins. He was nowhere to be found. But guess what? When Brock Lesnar, the Beast, calls him, Paul Heyman got time. Paul Heyman will make time for some Brock Lesnar, boy. No matter what's going on, he's going to make time for his beast. And that's exactly what happened. Paul Heyman made time for his beast. They came out. Brock Lesnar literally told everybody that, I don't watch this show, which we know, but it's horrible advertisement for your show when one of the biggest stars in the industry doesn't give a shit about the show. But, you know, uh, but like I said on a clip I released earlier in the week, it does kind of fit the bill. I mean, do we really think Brock Lesnar on his ranch, pops on Netflix and, is sitting up with his feet kicked up, eating pizza, seeing, Joe Hendry concert? Like, do we think he's doing that? Probably not, right? But he said that his advocate does watch the show and keeps him informed. And he said that he notices that when he's gone, Obafemi likes to call him names: coward, bitch, all those things. And he said, I've never been a great promo, which he said, which is why I have an advocate. Ironically, this was a pretty good Brock Lesnar promo. Brock Lesnar is actually good at promos when he's just being Brock Lesnar. You're not putting him in a box. Like, you can't give Brock Lesnar a script and expect him to remember it and go say it. You've got to let him say what comes out of his spirit, like a UFC fighter. And he's pretty good at that. He's pretty good at just normal beast shit talk. He ends his promo by saying, you know what they say, talk shit. And he proceeds to give Obafemi a swift kick to the balls, preceded by an F5. Further affirms Obafemi's claims that he is a bitch and a coward. He walks down the ramp. Oba sells it for just a couple seconds. He gets up, grabs the mic, and challenges him to a match at SummerSlam, essentially foregoing his earned title match from winning a tournament to having a match with Brock Lesnar at Summer. Brock Lesnar says, you know what? I'll one-up you. And immediately I'm thinking, here we go. Brock Lesnar's going to say, put that title shot on the line, and then the winner gets the champion. Nope. He says, Hell in a Cell. Now, I have no problem with these two in a Hell in a Cell. It's going to definitely be something that's worthy of watching at SummerSlam. No doubt about that. I am not mad at the match itself. I am mad at the storytelling that got us here. I am mad at the fact that we just wasted a King of the Ring tournament that had Seth Rollins in it, that had Jey Uso in it, that had people that could win. Again, I'm not advocating for King Yeet, but if this is where we were going, I almost would have rather have a King Yeet and then have somebody take him out, do whatever. At least you don't feel like you just, well, I guess you would feel like you wasted it there too. But anytime you're not going to get that SummerSlam match payoff, and there have been years where the King of the Ring did not get a title shot. Correct me if I'm wrong. The year Xavier Woods won it, and you can let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. I don't remember Xavier Woods earning a title shot because he won King of the Ring. Because I remember saying, this could be interesting. This could be real interesting, because this was in the middle of the Roman Reigns 1,300-day reign as the champion. It was in the middle of that. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity to turn Xavier Woods heel and to do something with that character. Because of the New Day, he's the only one that has not been a world champion. Big E won the world championship. We had Coffee Mania. He won the championship. No Xavier Woods. We did nothing with that. I think Roman Reigns even took his crown at some point, and I don't remember what happened. Maybe he did get a championship match, but I feel like Roman took the crown and they did nothing with it. It was like they got cold feet with it. But my point is, not every single year has the winner of King of the Ring gotten the shot at SummerSlam. But This year, it was marketed. Both the King and the Queen of the Ring winners are going to get championship opportunities at SummerSlam. But instead, Obafemi is going to, and they doubled down to make sure there was no contradiction on this. They had a segment in the back where Obafemi is talking to Adam Pearce, and he's like, "Are you sure about this?" And he's like, "Yes, the title will always be there, and I will get my title shot when I want it, and this and that." Whatever, man. Whatever. So you wasted the King of the Ring tournament. The other talking point coming out of Monday Night Raw, because it was bookended, it was top heavy, then bottom heavy. Roman Reigns comes out to end the show, and he is confronted by Seth Rollins. At Night of Champions, commentary put over, he's moving on from Braun Breaker after Seth Rollins defeated Braun Breaker in the cage match. They made it point blank and very clear that Seth Rollins is moving on. They made, and I made mention, I said they are saying that for a reason. And I heard people saying, "Oh, they're getting him ready for Jacob Fatu." Do you honestly think the commentary is putting that over so strong for him to go face Roman Reigns' right-hand man? Are you out of your damn mind? No, they are saying that because he is getting a championship opportunity. And they wanted to make it clear that the Vision chapter is over for Seth Rollins. They wanted to put him over strong against an opponent that they feel is a good warm-up opponent before a championship match that headlines SummerSlam Night 2. Seth Rollins comes out, confronts him, basically says, "Hey, we're old now. We've been doing this for a long time. You've really never I've been the only guy that you can't beat. So I think we should do this at SummerSlam." I never lost that title. I had to go out with an injury, but I never lost that. So I'm coming for what's mine. Roman Reigns pretty much accepts right away. He says, "I don't want this match. I need this match." Pretty much this felt like that, almost like there was a promo between Rock and Austin going into WrestleMania 17 where they were building, and I want to say it was a face-to-face interview, and Austin said, "I need to beat you, Rock. I needed more than anything in the world to beat you." And that's kind of what that felt like from Roman. It's like, I need this win. This is the one thing because Seth Rollins is preaching. When it matters, Roman Reigns has never beat Seth Rollins. Now, there have been some DQs and some stuff that has kind of gotten in the way that have given some screwy finishes to where Seth has not won clean and gotten like a 1, 2, 3 on him. But he has been that thorn in Roman's side that Roman has never been able to fully. So, in that regard, this totally makes sense. Does it need to be SummerSlam's Night 2 main event? No. No. We could have got this over with at Night of Champions, but it's going to be our SummerSlam main event. Now, the King of the Ring tournament had Seth Rollins in it, and he was cost the win in that, because I remember Javon Evans ended up winning the qualifying match that Seth Rollins did not win because Braun Breaker speared him out of his pants. You could have just had Seth win the damn tournament. It would have made more sense. You could have had Seth win the tournament. You could have headlined Saturday night's main event, Madison Square Garden, with Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. I get it. Maybe you don't want to put Seth Rollins in a major match like that when you're marketing him for SummerSlam and risking him to be injured. But you can, if you have a creative team, and you got ChatGPT, you can book around it. But that would have made a lot more sense. But instead, we get to the same place, just the most convoluted way possible. So the other good decision that WWE made at Night of Champions was crowning Sami Zayn world undisputed WWE champion. Not world heavyweight champion, undisputed WWE champion. And the reason I say it was the perfect decision, because Sami Zayn has been, over at least the past 5 weeks or so, Sami Zayn has been the best character any WWE programming, period. I don't care if you're talking Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, NXT, it doesn't matter. He is the best. This last real good guy gimmick, he is acting his ass off. And he has found that he is such a good actor. He knows how to reinvent himself. Anytime that he gets a little bit stale. There were about 6 months ago, I remember telling a friend of mine, get Sammy off my screen for a little bit. Because he needs to, and I say off for a little bit just because I trusted him to reinvent himself. But you didn't even have to get him off the screen. He's figured out a way to reinvent himself while still being a mainstay on the show. Not only does Sami Zayn get everything over that he does, do you remember when he brought back the John Cena US Open Challenge? He got that over. And to me, he did it better, is better than anybody else that preceded, not named John Cena. Whatever you give Sami Zayn, he kills it. He made the Gunther Cody feud better than it would have been otherwise. So making it a triple threat and now getting him the win at Night of Champions felt amazing. But now you're like, okay, this is great. Who's going to be his opponent at SummerSlam? Probably Johnny Gargano. Probably Johnny Gargano. If Sami Zayn has a match at SummerSlam, it's going to be against Johnny Gargano is my guess. Because it ain't going to be a title match. Because just as quickly as they are putting this title on Sami Zayn is just as quick as they're going to take it off. And they want to make sure it's not even a 3-week reign, because on SmackDown, the interim GM, Adam Pearce, made a match between Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes that main evented last night. Guess who won that match? Cody Rhodes. And you would think, if you haven't seen it, you would think, oh, what's wrong with that? That means we're going to get the proper Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes one-on-one match at SummerSlam. We're not even going to get it next week on SmackDown. Nope. Sami Zayn has to go to Monday Night Raw and defend that championship in Chicago, which is 100% telegraphing what's going to happen at SummerSlam. The writing could not be clearer on the freaking wall than it is. Sami Zayn is going to lose to Cody Rhodes on Monday night, and CM Punk is going to confront Cody Rhodes after that match, and he's going to get that title opportunity that just fell out of the sky like that. That's what he's going to get, and we're going to get that because WWE is not deviating from their SummerSlam plans. They don't give a shit what happened, what they did at Night of Champions. Hey, you Saudis, you got your moment. You Sami Zayn marks, you got your moment. But we are going to prove Vince Russo right that Sami Zayn should be working at Whole Foods or driving somebody's cab in New York City. That is what we're going to get. And CM Punk and Cody are going to headline night one. That is the plan. That has always been the plan. That's been the plan since the day after WrestleMania at minimum. Because CM Punk, before he went on his hiatus, looked at Cody and said, you never know. He's going to move to SmackDown, but he's going to be in Chicago this Monday, and he is going to confront Cody. I promise you. Sami Zayn's going to get this 2-week title run. Now, I am not saying that in the long run, this may not make sense. The other possible opponent for SummerSlam for Sami Zayn would be Finn Balor. They would have a great match. This could be who's getting back in the title mix. But for SummerSlam, WWE is not going to deviate. So also coming out of Night of Champions, after Gunther loses in the triple threat match, he confronts Nick Aldis. If you remember, I just said that we got an interim GM, or Adam Pearce is now covering both shows because Nick Aldis is probably training for his SummerSlam match against Gunther, because after the PLE, he got into a heated altercation with Gunther. Nick Aldis and Gunther got into a heated confrontation. F-bombs were thrown. Gunther says, hey, you're just jealous of me because you were a failed wrestler. That's why I keep getting screwed. That's why you keep screwing me, because you wish you were me. That's going to be our SummerSlam match. We're going to get Gunther versus Nick Aldis. Now, Nick Aldis, from what I remember, is a pretty good wrestler. He was the NWA World Champion I think he was the last NWA World Champion, if I'm not mistaken. And, I could think of better things for Gunther to do, but I could also think of worse things for Gunther to be doing at SummerSlam. So I'm not mad at it. I think, I think Gunther is one of those workers that is probably easy to work with and safe to work with, which is why, occasionally you get him in the ring with guys like him. And remember, he had the match with like Pat McAfee. And so he's trusted, he's not just a ring general because he kicks ass in the ring. I think he's a ring general because he's a good, safe worker to work with. And, he can make guys look good. Despite, killing them in the ring, he can still make them look good. So That's going to be another SummerSlam match. Another wasted tournament was the Queen of the Ring. Now, I'm not mad at Io Sky winning this tournament. Absolutely the right person to win the tournament. 110%. No doubt about it. She is the person that should be winning this tournament. But to give away her versus Liv already in that Queen of the Ring championship match or finals match and to just run it back at SummerSlam feels lame. First of all, why is the women like why are you as the unless the women's champion is going to win it and then go face Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam to unify these things, that it makes no sense. You as the champion should be sitting back, scouting and watching, not participating. You had so many women that were not in this tournament that should have been in this tournament. Where was Jordan Grace? Where's Last Legend? Like, why are these people not? This is a perfect opportunity to build these people up because Liv Morgan has not even defended this freaking championship. And so now you finally put her in the ring with somebody. She's not defending her championship. In fact, she's trying to now win the Queen of the Ring. Makes no sense. 2 wasted tournaments, a wasted title win for Sami Zayn. Make it make sense. The only other thing worth talking about coming out of SmackDown, believe it or not, was a matchup between Rey Fenix and Vikingo from AAA. Vikingo needs to be in WWE. I like Vikingo a lot. I think he has the look. I think he would be good. And this match proved it. They didn't go very long, but it was just the taste of what these guys can do in the ring. And we should see more of Vikingo. 100%. We need to see a lot more of Vikingo in WWE. He can do some amazing things in the ring. He's great at being a heel. That was a great match. So if you got 10 minutes, go watch that match. It was rapid fire offense. It shows what we're missing with Rey Fenix because WWE has not featured Rey Fenix very prominently. They've done a good job of featuring Penta, the other Lucha brother, but they haven't done anything. This is the most they've done with Rey Fenix, so this is good. Outside of that, it's a little. It's been a. This has been a very. This week felt like in wrestling wise to me felt like 2 weeks, just because I think it was because the SmackDown was recorded immediately. We got Raw early on Monday. It came on at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Then they immediately recorded SmackDown right after it. Of course, it's hard to, and you're in the wrestling space, it's hard to avoid the spoilers. So you already knew roughly what happened. I didn't read any detailed report because I did want to actually watch it and enjoy what I could of it, especially since it's only 2 hours. And then we got to it. And so it's just been like, and just knowing that the writing's on the wall that Sami Zayn is about to cough up this championship, not even on his own show, but he's got to go to Raw just so you can build this story between Cody and CM Punk. I personally, don't feel that has to have a championship to be a huge match. But WWE logic is these are 2 baby faces, so you got to have something at stake. And poor Sami Zayn. And I hope coming out of this, like I said, maybe Sami Zayn gets Finn Balor at SummerSlam. Maybe that's a #1 contenders match, and he gets right back into it, and and maybe it creates the storyline arc that the machine is against him, or this is what happens when you're a good guy. Maybe they do something to right away insert him back into it somehow, some way. But WWE just has to get to this Cody Rhodes CM Punk match because that is what they promised they would deliver on, and so they have to deliver on it. I was looking forward to Sammy having. I didn't expect him to carry it to Mania. Carrying it to Royal Rumble would have been great. Having someone maybe knock him off at either Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber would be great. And then you can move forward with whatever plan you want with your CM Punks, with your Cody Rhodes, with your Roman Reigns around it. Here's the only other thing I want to talk about. Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa. I see something brewing, and I like what I see brewing. I just don't trust 100% what I see brewing that WWE is going to follow up on it the right way. But right now, another SummerSlam match we are going to get is going to be the Usos versus LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. I'm all for it. I would love to see this develop into something much bigger. I hear a lot of people, oh, it's going to be the Vision in a War Games match against whomever. I don't think so. I think the Vision is dead. I think the Vision is absolutely dead. I think Braun Breaker is probably going to break off from them, and he's just going to be a Paul Heyman guy on his own. I think Bronson Reed is going to return from injury and do something else as well. And if not, that's what they should do. The Vision is dead. Regardless of what they decide to do, if they want to keep bringing whatever his name is, Bronson Reed back and putting him, no, do something else with him. Do something else with him. That's another person that you could throw at an Oba Femi. Perfect. Another person that can take a loss, but that is hella believable that you can throw at an Oba Femi. I think we're going to get, if WWE is smart and they're telling the story that feels like it's being presented to us, Solo is going to lead an anti-bloodline. It's not going to be a faction. I don't think LA Knight is ever going to be subservient to a Solo Sikoa. I think Solo can be convincing enough to build a little to go be anti. And who better to be anti-bloodline and lead this than somebody who was in the original iteration of the bloodline, who was that muscle for the bloodline, who was loyal to the bloodline until he couldn't be anymore, who created his own bloodline and then turned it into something else with the MFTs that absolutely is trash. But you can't take that away. While I believe Solo did as good of a job as he could in these roles, there is more to Solo Sikoa. Solo is really a funny guy, a charismatic guy. He's great. Playing the mob boss was cool. I enjoyed it. This is a character shift that I think will be. So he's starting off with LA Knight. SummerSlam, sometime after SummerSlam, between now and Money in the Bank, I think we're going to get Jacob Fatu bringing in Zilla Fatu. Shout out to Zilla Fatu. The main one needs to be on the main roster sooner than later. But shout out to Zilla Fatu. He's going to join. And this is where Solo is going to need a little more help. And so he's going to slowly start tapping guys that have had issues with the bloodline. He's already got LA Knight. Drew McIntyre's probably going to miss SummerSlam. He's going to be out a little bit longer, filming another movie, but he's another one that you can tap. I need your help. He can probably tap Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is going to get his ass handed to him at SummerSlam, probably screwed. He may even get screwed by Zilla and Jacob. Who knows? So he might have smoke with the bloodline. He should have smoke with the bloodline. And then who else? Who else would be great for Solo Sikoa to tap and say, hey, I don't need us to be friends. I don't need us to be family. I don't need to go hang out with you at the cookout and at, Mama's house and at Mama Zilla's and whoever house. I don't need that. What I do need, I need your help at War Games, Sami Zayn, because just like I know, my bloodline runs deep and there's a lot of toxicity going on over there. You know it and I know it. So Sami Zayn joins at the last minute. And now you have a complete team of anti-bloodline people to go in and dismantle the bloodline. Again, this ain't no faction. They're not running as a unit. They're not going to be walking around calling themselves the anti-bloodline. No. What they will be, they will have each other's back anytime that the bloodline is involved in something with the other. Just like we've seen with Solo Sikoa in these LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso matches, where Solo Sikoa is coming out and giving a little support to LA Knight. That's how they operate. And then after War Games, they can go and do whatever the fuck you need to do. You don't have to do this whole, again, it's not a faction. Do you remember back in the Attitude Era, we had the corporation, and then WWE decided to pull some guys together that frequently had run-ins with the corporation. It was like The Big Show, Mankind, maybe Test and Ken Shamrock, maybe. But anyway, they called themselves the Union. Anyway, I'm an HR guy by day, so business talk is talk I love to talk about. Corporation is the big infrastructure. And one of the things that corporations hate is a union. Because when the people unionize, you got to give the people raises. You got to make sure the benefits are better. You got to talk to their union representative because they will not be controlled by the corporation. They do not answer to the corporation. You talk to their union representative. So they created the union. But it was a faction, and that faction fell just as flat as you can fall because it didn't need to be a faction. It needs to be cohort. Just a couple guys that we got each other's back to face this, but I got my own priorities. I still want to become world champion. I still want to become hardcore champion. I still want the Intercontinental Championship. This could work. This would be hot. Again, this looks like where it could possibly be going, but it could very well just stop at a tag team of LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. But if they're smart, they'll do it. All right, if you made it this far, hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification icon so that you get updated each and every time I drop new content on this channel. I am Wrestling Brother, and this has been Wrestling Brotha Talks Smack, where we don't pop for the moments, we analyze the moments, and we analyze the fuck out of some moments today. Y'all take care.